Good morning, gang. We're gonna go ahead and get it started here in a couple minutes. Keep sending the link out to people on your team. Right. Today should be a decent day. We're looking at gold shorts right now to start. Based off the hourly, it looks like we could break down a little bit. To me, we'll at least fill this IPA at about 1908. To me, these lows would be ideal to see us come take, but for the most part, what I'm going to want to see is this price breakdown literally right out of this area. Obviously, we're getting a reaction out of here already, but we could push a little bit higher up. So if you wanted to kind of split the position into two risks, right, you could risk a little bit smaller on the first one, right, have a 30 pip stop, and then you can look ideally for price to come up and put in ideally like your full position or just most of it, with about an 18 pip loss up here. But like I said, we don't really have to fill all of this hourly IPA based on like the smaller time frames. There really isn't anything that's too insufficient in here in my opinion. But obviously on the hourly, we did have this little IPA, so the fact that we came in right now is good enough for me. But in terms of that, fam, definitely send this link out. Let's get at least 10, 15, 20 people on this call before we go ahead and start. But we're going to start it in about literally 3 to 4 minutes.
There is a process, and there is a gestation process in your vortex too. And we would like now to reveal to you for the first time how long that gestation process is. Ready? That long. That long. That long. That was too long. Esther cannot demonstrate what it is. That's way too long. That was too long too. Way, way, way too long. It's instantaneously. When you ask, it is immediately because the source within you becomes it. And all things, all cooperative components are there. So the question isn't how long does it take for it to become in the vortex? The question is, how long does it take you to be ready for what you've put in the vortex? Because if you're complaining, you're not ready. And if you're doubting, you're not ready. So the length of time that it takes from your launching of a desire to your witnessing it in its full material form, how long does it take these thoughts to turn to your things? That's the big question. How long is it going to take for these thoughts to turn to the things I want? It only takes as long as it takes for your thoughts to turn to the things you want, your consistent thoughts to turn to the thoughts about the things that you want. So when you find yourself talking about what you want in negative fashion, oh, where is it? I've waited so long. It just isn't fair. I'm so uncomfortable. I want it, but it isn't here. Those words are your indication. Those are manifestations of a different evolution of a different thought. So in our desire to help you feel the realness of this vibrational reality, we named it, wrote a book about it, and we said to you, until you could hardly bear to hear it again, just get into the vortex. Just get into the vortex where everything you want is, and you'll see then everything you want. And you said, oh, Abraham, stop spraying frou-frou dust all over us. Can't we talk about something that is real? And we say, it's real. You've just got to develop your sensors to understand that it is. And then you became suspicious. Oh, yeah, we get it. You just want us to be happy in the absence of what we want by pretending that it really is over there. And we said, yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. We want you to be happy in the absence of what you want, in the absence of its manifestation, because we know that in your happiness anyway, in your expectation of it anyway, in your trust of the vibration of it that you can feel with your emotions, even though you can't see it with your other senses, in your belief that it is there, not only will it be, but the fun in which it reveals itself to you, oh, the pleasure of manifestation. Friends, that's what you came for. You came for the pleasure of manifestation.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, gang. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody doing? if you guys just hopped on, right, gold sells are valid, right? I like the idea of gold shorts from where we're at, just based off of just kind of what took place today, and yesterday. Um, a lot of the new buyers are really just gonna be getting in right now because obviously, like, it looks like we got a little bit of bullishness in here. To me, I think we're gonna fill 1908, and just based off of how this 4 hour candle started as well, we just popped straight up. So I just, in terms of shorts, it just makes a lot more sense based off of how the 4 hour candle opened to see us at least come back down to 1908. So like I said, I just think we're gonna hit a lot of the late buyers, because a lot of people, when you think like psychologically and from a fundamental aspect, a lot of people are not really holding, like the average retail trader is not holding the bottoms, or like they didn't really position themselves in at the bottom like us, right? They weren't able to get in all the way in here, right? This is literally where we got in. This is the entry that I called out on Tuesday, right? This is why we didn't even have to trade tomorrow or yesterday. Realistically, it's like if you caught this and just held to second TP, you'd have been done for the month, right? And this was the first initial entry that we had called out. Well, I called out Sunday to my team, right? So realistically, I'm in from here and here. So like I don't care about none of this in between, right? That's like even with the sells, right? For example, it's like I had shorted the market all the way up here, right? I'm not looking to hold my sells down here. I'm looking to take profit after we make lows, right? I'm not looking to hold kind of the in between. I'm looking to hold either bottoms or tops in my eyes, right? So in terms of that, I think this should probably lag around until about 10:15. I couldn't really see us just like dropping. Like I said, the 1 hour IPA just makes sense. But with how this hourly open, like I said, hourly 4 hour candle, it just makes a lot of sense. Even for this 4 hour to come and tap up here. So if you didn't get in, now would be even better opportunity to get in. But like I said, ideally what I would want to see is a tap off of here. Once we tap off basically this black line, that would kind of be the highest point. Like I said, we wouldn't want to see technically a structure close. It's really above, like on the hourly, above this high. So if we wick above, right, which we shouldn't in my eyes, unless we're just going to like run everything right now, which we could, right? We took the low of the day. But to me, if we don't break this high of the day, that's what you have to pay attention to on gold, right? We're only going to take the highs or the lows of the day once or twice. So if we don't break above this high right now, I think we might be shorts for the day, right? Just based off of my opinion. So that's one thing to keep in mind as well. But if we do take this high from here, to me, we could look to potentially position ourselves. Like I still wouldn't even buy this shit. Like I just don't like buying the top of the range. Like to me, if this is the high right here, 1923, and we're buying at 1918, like you really only have 50 pips give or take to get to the high of the range, right? Considering this is kind of like the bottom. The bottom is about like 300 pips prior, right? So that's one thing that you guys really have to just keep in mind with things as a whole. So this is what potentially we could see on gold, right? In terms of hourly, like I said, just wait for this 15-minute candle close, see how the next one opens. Ideally, we shouldn't close like how we are right now. We should start to see a little bit of exhaustion towards the downside. Obviously, like I said, once we tap this, we probably tap it a couple times. But in terms of like candle closes, like I said, we're not gonna want to see just super bullish unless, like I said, we're just gonna run the high. So in terms of that, I wouldn't really be looking for long re-entries, because like I said, I still think that we're gonna come down and we're gonna fill this in before we go higher. I just think we're kind of baiting in a little bit of liquidity right now. Like I said, we're just enticing the late buyers, right? So people that get into the market a little bit late, obviously they're going to be getting in at positions like this. They're not going to be getting in at the highs. They're not going to be looking for sells in this area, and they most definitely, like I said, are not looking to TP their buys like fast, right? So like I said, if we close just basically above this structure in terms of the hourly, 15-minute, 30-minute, it would be invalidated then. Like I said, if we wick above this high like I said, I doubt that the shorts will play out, right? Because in my eyes, we shouldn't have really we shouldn't have taken the low if we're gonna take the high too, right? But that's just me, kind of like the philosophy that I would look at. So to me, like I said, just wait until this candle closes. Put your stop above the high to be safe. It's only like 20 pips to the high if you're entering from that top area. Dollar looks like we could break down out of her, right, off a 4 hour, right? But we also could pop a little bit higher. Yeah, 15-minute looks like we just broke to the downside. So dollar looks good to drop. All right. US 30 came in. Damn, 30 really topped this bitch and just dropped. Holy moly. I kind of wanted to see something like this on Nas. Sorry, 30, like... I was literally looking to see how we reacted out of there at the beginning of stream, and I forgot about it. But yeah, ideally with Nas kind of looking, I'm looking more towards the bull sides. But based off dollar right now, we could really see dollar flip. So if we're really gonna go towards the downside, to me, I feel like Nas obviously is kind of like the lagger right now. 30 looks like, actually, truthfully, like, they're both kind of in the same spot. 30 before was just diverging like crazy. 30 was obviously flying a lot higher up. So to me, that's kind of what I was looking to see play out, more or less, just to see if 30 was 30 was obviously already kind of like playing out towards the upside. So I was figuring that we could potentially see some divergence, obviously, on Nas with us pushing down, 30 pushing up. So I was more or less looking for longs just based off of 30. But based off of that, based off of this, we still could see longs too. It's not to say that we can't, but we just captured a lot of liquidity. And this is a pretty big candle out of here, right? Like I said, this don't look bad from the perspective of shorts, right? Maybe for 5-minute wise, we could close below that. We could see us go, but realistically, in terms of even seeing price continue up, right, this is kind of going to make or break just the direction on the indices for us. And I feel like we'll be able to kind of just have a more safe idea. Because like I said, to me, after taking these equal highs, right, because we have equal highs resting in here, right, we smash up, take them. In my eyes, I was looking at these equal lows to get taken anyway. This is really what I wanted to see. Us kind of come down and like smash and take. But because we took the highs first, we could see now these lows get taken, right? So if we break down below here, ideally we're probably going to see those lows get ran. But if we can't break below here, then we truthfully probably see price either, if not like trickle back up deeper into this area, we're probably just going to take the whole high, right? So that's one thing that we could pay attention to when it comes down to just the indices as a whole, right? So when it comes down to just price, I think tomorrow we have a news. I'm not actually, what is it? Oh, what is this shit? Today's Thursday, unemployment claim. Yeah, so we already had our like major news today, right? I was looking at yesterday's news. But then tomorrow, right, we have Powell, my guy Powell, my Kaiser Powell in the cut. He's gonna be speaking. So Powell speaking at 10. We got FOMC member Harker speaks. So we got my guy Harker in the cut. Right, not Parker, not Peter Parker. Peter Piper picked. Not Piker. Hiker. Fuck, what is his name? Harker. Did I say hiker? Peter Parker, pickle pepper. Alright, so tomorrow, Peter Piper is going to be speaking with my guy Powell, right? or Peter Parker. So Spidey Man is gonna be in the cut with my guy, Super Powell, right? And they're gonna sit there and they're gonna bless us, right? I don't know what it's like to have like a sugar mama, right? But I would imagine if having Powell release news, you know, a couple times a month was a sugar daddy, that would be it. You know what I mean? But it's mad early. Nah, that's crazy. You know, it's like 5 o'clock in Europe. You know, it's like 10 o'clock at night. It's like 11 o'clock at night in Australia right now. I have students that are about to go to sleep after this. So it's only early based off of your perspective. But I was watching this interview. The beginning of this interview, I need to watch it today. It's like a podcast. But the beginning of the interview is like, time isn't real. And I was like, I fuck with this guy. Time is not real. It's like time is a social construct. I forgot exactly what he said in one sentence, but it was literally like the most like, it was like the most bar type of, here, like I'm gonna actually have to play it.
What we tend to not understand is that time really doesn't exist. Clocks exist.
Ah, clocks exist. That's a bar. Time doesn't exist. Clocks exist. I heard that. I'm like, I'm using that this week. So if you guys hear me use that this week, mind your business. And if you guys use it this week, I'm suing you guys for trademark infringement. Is that what it'd be called? You know, you just say shit confidently, and if no one says nothing to correct you, just keep it pushing, keep it thugging. What is this? What is little hoe doing? Like I said, I think we're really gonna have to wait for the candle close on this one. Like I said, we shouldn't really come too close to this high if we're really going to break down. Like I said, gold is pretty cool with respecting this highs and lows. So like I said, the fact that we broke down here and created this low of the day, right? Obviously, this was the previous low of the day before London session. So us creating that low of the day, filling in some of this imbalance, like I said, for us to come and take this high, that would make me a lot more confident to just see, obviously, price potentially just react out of here. But until that point, like I said, you know, I took small shorts, and ideally waiting for this candle close, this 30-minute candle close. I'm going to look to put the rest of my position on. But like I said, that's the difference between entering at the bottom of our range. Because look at this. If you had like the smaller area, probably get tapped, right? But if you have the bigger stop loss, now your risk to reward goes from being like a 1 to 10 to a 1 to 4, right? Or a 1 to 3. So this is why it's ideal to always kind of sit here and wait as deep as possible and kind of have areas marked up that you could be looking at. Like for me, I personally had this IPA marked up in here, which I was looking for initial pops off of, right? But also this candle, right? This 1 hour candle is really just kind of what intrigued me as well. So, you know, I definitely, like I said, based off of these candle closes, are going to be seeing just whether or not, you know what I mean, we could even hold this, or if it just really looks like we're going to punch above, right? Which either or, to me, doesn't really matter what happens, right? GBP looks like we're going to continue higher. Silver looks like we can kind of break down a little bit as well. GBP definitely looks like we're diverging. Silver after daily looks like, yeah, shit, we might be able to see just a little bit of a pop down. We also don't have to, right? If we're really, based off of seasonality, if we're really going to kick in, like, we should really just be getting daily bullish closes, like, for the next, like, week type shit. So, to me, what you could really expect, like I said, is just that increase push up overall in terms of the metals, right? But just in terms of how we feel, it's like you don't want to be holding positions like when you're buying at the top of these ranges. Like you want to be able to take profit if you're not buying bottoms. And you might ask, like, how do you know if it's a bottom? Well, shit, go look to the left and ask yourself, like, if you bought, for example, in here, it's like, if you were looking to the left and all of this was just bearish, and you're buying in here, that's probably your sign that, okay, like, damn, like, you know what I mean? You're getting in at kind of that right time. But when you sit there and you're really getting in up here, after we've already kind of taken off, there's a lot of insufficiency in terms of algorithm, right? The market just has a lot of things that it could hypothetically fill before continuing. So that's the one thing that you have to understand, is that if you're just looking to hold trades longer term, you kind of have to have an idea of just your overall target, as well as, whoa, hiccups, just as well as like positioning. Nas is filling daily imbalance too. I never peeped that, truthfully. But like I said, I would be kind of just anticipating Nas more or less to kind of break down a little bit deeper into here. We could truthfully react off of this black line, but to me, Nas is a little bit like gold in terms of being able to come to the bottom and tops of these ranges and kind of fill IPA. One thing as well, though, too, we could really dump below there, and to me, we also could see potentially something like this, just because we have equal highs here. To me, I don't think that we'll really be able to break down here today. We could, obviously, right? Because to me, if 30 takes those lows, then that's the one thing to really understand on Nas. We could really see us kind of do the same thing. I don't know if Nas could really make it all the way down here. If 30 takes the lows, just kind of based off of where the two are at, right? It looks like we're a little bit closer to the lows on 30, because this is, what is this, from Friday? Yeah, Friday's lows. We're a lot closer to Friday's lows on 30 than we are on Nas. So that's one thing as well that you could kind of just keep in mind when it comes down to just overall being able to take positions, right? So, yeah, indice wise, like I said, I'd be kind of just chilling on my hands for now. Gold, like I said, would have came into like ideally your lowest risk, highest reward scenario. Like I said, even if you entered here, we'd be looking at minimum about like a 1 to 4, but that would be if you got in at the bottom, right? If you're getting in, you know, maybe a little bit higher, right? You have less of a stop, smaller stop, right? You're not having it all the way at the top here to be safe. Maybe you have it a little bit tighter. Like I said, this is how your R&R changes just drastically, truthfully. Like, you might not think you entering here versus you entering on the black line is going to change your risk reward, but that in itself just even goes from you being able to have this little tight stop to wanting to be maybe a little bit more conservative. Go from about like 30 pips to maybe even potentially like, shit, you could have like you could cut it damn near in half. Okay, so cutting it damn near in half turns this first take profit target area into a 1 to 10 instead of that 1 to 4, right? So would you rather catch a 1 to 10 or a 1 to 4? And the difference between you catching a 1 to 10 and a 1 to 4 is you simply just waiting a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Like in this case, it was the difference between you entering at the black line and entering at this top of this box was 9 minutes, right? But the difference between most of you guys pressing the button is literally 30 seconds, a minute. Like, people are not sitting here doing these, like pressing these buttons at the same time. So like I said, that's just kind of what we're looking for. So this is what we would want to see in terms of like a 30-minute close. Like I said, we wouldn't have wanted to see price break above there on the 15-30 minute in my eyes. So kind of seeing us break down, like I said, just the way this candle opened to start, it just doesn't make sense for me to not at least come back to 1908. Like I said, 1908 would be just like an easy first little partial, but in reality, I'm kind of looking for these lows. These lows look a little bit juicy here at basically at 1899, right? So I could really see us just kind of sweeping these lows, right? And we might even just come and fill like this little IPA in here. So truthfully, more or less, what I'd be looking for is short-term sells, right, into this area to then potentially see longs. Okay, so it's not that we're looking for long-term sells or anything like that. It's just understanding kind of how the market and the algorithm felt and how it ideally should in order to have continuations either towards the upside or the downside. Okay, so in terms of this, like I said, we're looking for ideally short to longs. Is anyone in gold? Drop an XAU USD if you guys are in gold. If you got in at the top, you're up about 20. If you got in from black line, you're probably up about 10 to 15. Yeah, so no matter how you slice it, you should be up you know, at least 10 pips, right? So drop an 888 in the cut if you guys are in Goldilocks with me. I hope you guys are, because like I said, I really think this is going to be a pretty quick little TP spank. Like I said, to 1808 is about 120 pips. So that's really what you have to sit here and think about when it comes down to just market direction. Like I said, just patience. Because this week so far, I didn't stream yesterday, so you really shouldn't have traded unless you were trading with people that, you know, are doing this for real. But outside of that, like I said, we caught positions on Monday and on Tuesday where it's like you could have really been done for the week, hypothetically, if you were just positioning yourself the right way. 30 breaking down. I don't know. I could still really see the longs on both, to be honest. Like I said, I like Nas longs out of here. We could potentially take the lows, but I still like, because we're looking gold shorts. Like I said, I could see the idea of indice longs lining up with our commodity shorts, just for the time being. Like I said, it might just be a little retracement as opposed to really just, you know, something that's higher term or longer term, right? But gold, if you got in from the top, is up down there 30 pips. Love it, right? So it's 10:30 open. Let's see how this candle open to start the 30-minute. Ooh, yeah, this looks lit. So ideally, I would break even once we break below 1914, right? And like I said, I would just ideally enjoy the ride. 1908 to me seems like a very easy take profit. But like I said, I would just look to kind of break even and manage this position kind of accordingly based off of obviously what your parameters are. But like I said, family, if you're in gold, drop an 888. I see 2 people in the cut in there. Everyone else scared, no one else took it. Nobody else took. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking. US 30, maybe we see longs out of here. You know, IPA fill. Could potentially see longs out of here. Not gonna hold you. I'm gonna take a small position on 30. Like I said, based off of what we're looking for on gold, kind of makes sense, right? To see 30 pop off a little bit, do that thing, go to the moon type shit, type beat, right? So that's one thing that I could expect to, like I said, just a little bit pop up out of 30, right? To me, we probably take this high if we don't take this low, like right here. So to me, like I said, ideally, you know, we're going to be looking for this high to get taken, right? It would be about a 1 to 7. If it would be 1 to 7 having a super conservative stop. If you were to have a little bit tighter of a stop, and just give it about like 20 points from the low to breathe, give or take, it would be about a 1 to 11. But like I said, the safe stop loss is going to be ideally down here. But at the same time, if you're in gold, you can kind of take the position accordingly. To me, as long as we don't close below this low, we're going to be good. Like I said, this IPA area looks solid to see a little bit of a pop. Nas too, we're kind of coming into this area. So definitely see like whether or not we're able to get the bounce that we're looking for on either, right? Because like I said, it's just really going to come down to a matter of whether or not price is going to just continue in terms of obviously the dollar's direction. So that's one thing to definitely keep in mind. Nas, like I said, I want it to break down a little bit lower. It could just react out of here though. 30 is definitely looking like potentially a little bit cleaner. if we really do just bounce out of this 30-minute, 15-minute area. So to me, I would say 30 would be cleaner out of the two right now. I just want Nas to come a little bit lower. So it's not to say that I don't like the longs on Nas. I just think that we are probably gonna push a little bit deeper down, right? First. So that's just kind of my personal perspective or opinion, right? But we'll just have to see. Like I said, within the next 9 minutes, to me, like I said, this 15-minute close is either gonna close below this low, or we're gonna get a little bit of a pop towards just the upside. And getting that pop towards the upside, like I said, we might not even really take this high, but to see us just continue without kind of popping back up and filling in at least some of this, right? I just couldn't necessarily see it personally, but that's just me, right? So we'll definitely see what ends up taking place in terms of that. Overall, like I said, I still like the idea of potentially seeing price pop up from here in terms of 30, and Nas as well. Just obviously a little bit deeper down. We want to see Nas come before we do that thing. So yeah, ideally right now, let's go do it. So pop back up in terms of gold. Based off how the 30 minutes started, it's like we shouldn't fuck around too much in here. Like I said, we're either going to take the high or we're going to just continue to break down. So if you got in towards the top, I would look to either reduce your risk. Or if you got in towards the top, it's like I would just reduce your risk. If you break even, you'll probably get hit out, even if we're right. But I would say just kind of cut down your stop. If you had it a little bit higher, I would just give it maybe a couple pips to breathe, like literally like 10 pips to breathe above the high, because like I said, it could just wick around in the same area and not really break above, kind of like how it's doing, or based off of how the 30-minute candle opened, it actually could continue higher. Okay, so that's just the perspective that you guys should kind of be looking at in terms of that, so you don't get stuck just in a bias. Like I said, I never found myself being like stuck in a bias. Like for example, if this breaks down below here, it's like I'd be looking for shorts if we pop back up into here. Like that's really what it comes down to. It's like you can't be emotionally attached to a bias. You just have to look at the technical side, and I think the emotional side is just more or less going to be able to help you with being able to hold trades. The technical is going to be able to help you get in. The emotional side is going to be the reason why you're able to like hold trades longer term, that obviously is going to allow you to maybe potentially have to trade less, right? If you're able to trade maybe once or twice a week and you're able to catch just big moves, like, just it's a lot easier than just catching smaller moves, but then also like risking the chance of having smaller losses as well, right? So in terms of 30, it looks like we're getting a nice little pop out of here. As long as we get this engulfing on the 3-minute, it would be ideal, right, to see us just obviously continue up. 3-minute should engulf. In terms of the 5-minute, we might engulf on the 5-minute too. I really we don't really have to. To me, more or less 15-minute just has to. I would want to see us kind of close in a similar manner in terms of just having that wick there, personally. And then potentially see us wick back down right at the beginning of like maybe the next 45-minute open, or the next 15-minute candle open, sorry. So overall, like I said, I like 30 better than Nas, just because to me, like I said, I think that 30 is actually in a high risk, high reward, low risk area, where in Nas, to me, like, just to the high, if you're playing it like this, is about a 1 to 2. So this is kind of trash, right? I don't know who in their right mind would want to do that. So like I said, I wouldn't really start to be looking to play until at least like kind of like towards the bottom. And like I said, I would kind of like split up my risk, like even within that, right? I'd rather get in like quote unquote a little bit late, or like a little bit higher up, making sure that the trade is like going in my direction, than sitting there and getting in a little bit early because I just guessed, as opposed to just actually sitting there and like having technical and fundamental understanding and analysis that kind of aligned with what it is that we were looking at in terms of like overall direction, right? So 30, like I said, ideally we should see a little bit of a pop up. I would look to maybe take some partials or break even on 30 once we get up to here, about like 100 points, give or take. To me, that IPA fill, it's not to say that we'll reverse out of there. I just think that we could see a little bit of a pop down after that. So I would say that would be a good place to kind of pay yourself if you wanted to. So ideally, like TP1, give or take, would kind of be here for US 30. Drop a 30 if you guys hopped in 30 with me. I think 30 was truthfully the cleaner one out of the bunch. Gold is kind of clean too, but like I said, it'll only be clean if we actually do fall. Right? Which, based off of the 30-minute open, right, we filled in this IPA. To me, I think we probably fly right now, unless this 15-minute candle doesn't close the way that it's gonna close. Like, this shit's gonna fly. So I would sit here and say you could either close like with a small loss or break even damn near, depending on where you entered, or if you really wanted to, you could wait. But like I said, it looks like we're probably going to take off. Okay, to me 30 seems like the cleaner one. So if you were to take a position, like I said, 30 just, it makes the most sense right now in terms of kind of what we're looking for, at least to this first little target area, right, that we were looking for in terms of obviously price, right? So like I said, even getting in kind of like in the middle, you're still able to kind of get in with like a 30-point stop. If you get in any lower, for example, right, you could potentially have had anywhere from like a 15, 16-point stop. It's like you have a 15, 16-point stop, right? Price already went up 30 points, right? So that's ideally going to be what? A 1 to 2, right? So you're up a 1 to 2 already just off of being able to position yourself in an area where obviously it's there's a higher probability of us getting a reversal in this area based off of the fundamentals that we look at versus like, for example, right now, gold, right? Kind of break it down. Like I said, gold was good up until the way that the 1030 candle opened. And like I said, overall, it won't really be invalidated till the end of the hour. But to me, just looking at the hourly, looking at the 15-minute, like I said, it looks like we're probably going to continue to push up, which is fine, right? But on that token, it's just being able to kind of sit here and just see whether or not we're either going to continuation in terms of just direction in the market, or if we're really just going to sit here and kind of sweep out a little bit of liquidity from yesterday, which kind of would make sense, right? I wouldn't really be too mad at that if we took like these lows, for example, and if gold kind of took a little bit of highs. So it wouldn't be too big of a deal, like I said, based off of 30, right? We kind of identified 30, looked like we were going to break down anyway. It was just a matter of if we were going to come back up a little bit higher into here. Like, even looking at this, like this movement in DXY alone is the reason why gold like fell like 40 points, right? So for us to see price come back up into here, like I said, that would have kind of, like in my eyes, that would have probably pushed us to our 1908 target. Not to say that we're still not going to get there, but like I said, just kind of looking at dollar right now, you really just have to be fundamental as opposed to sitting there kind of looking at what you want to have happen. So really and truthfully, like I said, we could really see some movement. So 30 right now is breaking below these lows. So to me, just looking at that, what I could anticipate, probably more than likely, 30 is probably going to maybe sweep below like these whole lows. But I think NAS now, to me, like I said, if we're going to be bullish, typically 30 is going to give us that little creeper first, or that little sign first. And NAS is going to come trickle in a little bit later. So to me, maybe NAS was really the lagger, right? If we take these, well, we already kind of did take the lows, but just depending on where we close, like I wouldn't necessarily invalidate this per se, just because we swept the low, only because we haven't closed below it. So until we close below it, in my eyes, like, it's just not something that I would really be too concerned about. Like, obviously, if you're in and you get tapped, like, it is what it is. Like I said, like, you really should have been scaling into. I don't really like to take my full position on an entry unless it's really something that I've been waiting for. Like, it has to be like a test. There has to be like confluence in terms of just the institutional areas. And there just has to be a little bit more alignment than just like looking at what current price is actually doing, right, for me to put in a full position. But you guys obviously have been on these calls like long enough to kind of know how we do that, and that's why we do that, just so you can avoid just certain areas where obviously the potential to see price either continue might be a little bit higher, right? Obviously in the opposite direction maybe of sometimes where you're looking, because shit, we're not always 100% accurate or 100% right. But for the most part, like I said, we're able to kind of identify things to the point where we're never really confused as to why price maybe might go the opposite way, right? So that's one thing to just pay attention to as well. Like I said, I wouldn't really try 30 again per se for longs, right? I would just be more or less waiting to see how Nas closes. And I feel like Nas would be able to give you a position if we were to go long, right? But if we were really to continue to break down, to me, like I said, these equal lows on Nas, to me, I would be looking for kind of a bounce out of that lower area. So it does make sense to see us continue lower, right? Obviously based off of just the direction of the dollar and everything else in terms of just current overall market schematic, right? We're in basically phase D right now for in accumulation for gold, right? So phase D, we're really just gonna see continuation in terms of that overall expansion towards the upside, right? And just being able to sit there and identify the seasonal shift in terms of something. Overall, that's where you're gonna be able to kind of get your stacks in. But in order to stack and not have worry about maybe getting hit out per se, you're gonna want to stack typically your positions like at the beginning of the week. So when I say stack, I mean like if you're looking for long-term buys, I mean like you're looking to add like a little bit of a position on to hold for longer term. So it's not to say that you're using like a big lot, but it's like you're really gonna be sitting there and you're gonna be utilizing a position that you're not gonna be really tripping about, right? Where if it goes into a little bit of profit, you're gonna be bugging out and you're gonna be wild and wondering like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Like it'll be kind of one of those trades where it's calm. Like imagine like you're putting like $1,000 into account and you're trading micro lots, right? You're probably not tripping over losing like $1, $2, $3, right? But it's like when you sit there and you start raising the lot sizes, like psychologically, it's like I don't know what changes and what shifts and causes us to like really get into that state of like I don't know how else to put it besides just like impulsive behavior, right? We just be impulsively looking to position ourselves, especially when like shit doesn't make sense. It's like what's the point in like trying to re-enter a position like 4 or 5 times when fundamentally it's like nothing has changed from like the first time that you lost. Like these are things where if you kind of just keep in the back of your mind, like it kind of will help you with just the perspective of how to position yourself into the market, because you're not going to be sitting here and like you're not going to lose and then sit there and look at the position again and be like, damn, like I don't know how I lost type shit. Like you should be sit there and be like, damn, like this is why I lost and this is why this trade is not working. And yeah, that's like this is what I should wait for before I should ideally be looking to kind of get back in. So that's more or less kind of how to go about just really putting yourself into a position to win, right? We want to be able to be in a position where we don't have to be watching the charts all day, every day, 24/7, right? I don't want to have to be on the charts, truthfully, 24/7. I don't even have to be on the charts at all, right? I could trade Mobley and be good. But a lot of us, like I said, when we first come in, it makes it a little bit easier to be able to maybe see certain things. Like for sure, I definitely enjoy trading more on my computer than on my phone, but like for me to say that I can't trade on my phone and oh my god I have to be at my setup or I have to be here, like that would be a little bit ignorant because you know that's just not true when it comes down to overall just kind of what I need to see in terms of the markets and whatever have you not. But like I said, when it comes to today, Goldie, like I said, boom, broke above. So if you close your position, like I said, you would have saved yourself a little bit there. Like I told you, like we weren't gonna take the low of the day and then take the high of the day and then run, right? So it just didn't make sense for us to break down and then not take this high, like I said, if we were going to continue to go higher. If we just reacted out of here, like I said, we would have taken that low easily, and that would have been really all she wrote. But because we took the high, like I said, that's really all the confirmation we need in terms of just seeing price, like I said. Hedging a little bit when you're in at the bottoms is okay, right? Because shit, even though, like, what did I lose? Like, maybe like 20, 30 pips, give or take, right? I made the 20, 30 pips back on the buys, right, for being in the buys. So this is really what you have to kind of look at too when you're holding trades for a longer term, right? Even if you're like hedging and looking to take the opposite side, for the most part, you're not really going to be taking losses, right? Nas is really struggling to break down below here, right? So off the 15-minute, we could see maybe a little bounce because we did really just come into this imbalance. I did want to see us come lower, but this IPA might be sufficient enough in here, right? We filled this little IPA, so we could potentially see price continue higher. So leading into the end of the hour, like you could potentially go long right now, but we could pop back down a little bit deeper into this area. But that's why I would kind of like look to like split up the positions if you were to be obviously taking them. Hypothetically, it would just make the most sense to see price kind of trickle down a little bit more, but at the same time, like I said, we really could just see price run. So in terms of that, Nas, like I said, would be like the better option now. Obviously 30, you know, that's what I was saying at the beginning of the call, but it was just because 30, like I said, I use more for direction as opposed to entering. So the fact that we kind of broke down already, right, and captured these lows, it's not to say that overall we're bearish, but it's just to say, okay, like if we're really capturing lows and breaking down into an area where we could potentially fill to go higher, right? Like for example, with 7 minutes left in this candle, it's like we probably close and engulf this whole thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if literally to start the beginning of the next candle, we came at least 50%. Like this TP1 to me, I still feel like we'll get back up at least to that area. We'll pop into there, but that'll be more or less because of the fact that, like I said, at the beginning of the hour, we're typically gonna see price kind of run the opposite direction. Let me see this. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If this shit doesn't close above, I'm getting back in. Oh man, we took the highs. Yeah. Yeah. What is it to the high? Oh yeah. I'm in there. I'm in there. Like swimwear. Right. As long as we could close below, that'd be lovely. So at the end of this hour, that's basically what we want to see. Like you could enter now, but like I would say, like it's if we fly, don't say I didn't tell you that could happen. But basically, as long as we close above this is like kind of the confirmation that we need. This is initially the same area that I said we shouldn't close above. I personally just didn't want to see the high get taken, but I'm not gonna be ignorant, right? If we take the high again, like or not even really again, because this was initially the high of the day, the whole day, right? But if we don't close above this structure wise, that would be even more beautiful to me. Like to me, I would love that even more. This would kind of like, this would be even cleaner than kind of what we were initially looking at. We were just looking at a break structure. We were looking at the fact that we swept liquidity. This now in itself would be more or less us taking a daily high, right? Taking the intraday high, so us sweeping the high of today and then being able to have that continuation lower. So overall, like I said, when it comes down to things as a whole, um, I really think that indice wise, we're gonna get a pop up, and I think we were just a little bit early, but I still like the overall direction. Just kind of looking at how things are about to close off, even on the indices, right? 30, like I said, we swept this low. That was the one thing that I talked about, right? We swept this low. Realistically, if I'm looking at what just pops up immediately, this IPA, right, is what we filled. To me, I was more or less just looking to see how we either reacted out of this candle or really these series of candles. I didn't really quite see this IPA right off the rip, but looking at where we actually came to me, we definitely could see buys, right? Why? Because in terms of low and high today, like I said, we're not just gonna take the low of the day or the high, make a high today, and not just continue overall in those directions. So the fact that we kind of swept both sides, right? Just looking at obviously what we just swept more recent, we just took the lows, right? So to me, we basically swept out anyone who bought early. So I like potentially seeing US 30 longs as well. To me, basically based off of the 3-minute time frame, more or less, if we could get a little wick fill like this in here, this is kind of what I would look for, right? Like I said, it would be super tight risk. It would only be about like 10-15 points. So the first TP would be about 1 to 10, like literally 1 to 10 type shit. So to me, like I said, you could potentially look to kind of position yourself more or less in there, but we also could dip a little bit deeper into here. So NAS is definitely the cleaner one if you were going to be looking to take a long position, like out of this area right now, right? I personally took a little position on NAS, and I kind of have my stop below the low, right? Just because I want to be able to partial out here at a 1 to 10. So this will be a 1 to 10, and this is where I want to be able to have my first take profit, just because to me, like I said, a 1 to 10 is typically a good. I like 1 to 10. I don't know about you, right? But I like 1 to 10. So to me, a 1 to 10, a quick 139 points, definitely wouldn't be too shabby when it comes down to overall everything. So like I said, sometimes it just comes down to being a little patient, right? To be able to sit here and kind of get the overall direction. Gold 5-minute engulf, so you could potentially look to maybe short with a small position. I personally got in, just because I like I said, there's certain things that you look for. This is kind of what's happening. 5-minute engulfing candle, like I said, to end the, like basically coming into damn near the end of this hourly. To me, this candle should really kind of either close where it's at, kind of trickle down the beginning of 11 o'clock, one more spike up, and then we really should continue down. Like I said, unless within the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds we close above this black line, which would invalidate the shorts. So even if we like spike down to start right at the 11 o'clock open, 11 EST, to me, I still would, like, I would just take that profit and run, right? Because if we spike straight down, the likelihood of us not correcting that candle is just slim to none. And correcting that candle more than likely entails us taking the high. Okay. So US 30, right? 3-minute wise, was it? Nah, so we're looking 3-minute wise. Or was it this shit? Yeah. So 30 wise, like I said, the position is not as clean per se. Like I said, they could really keep reacting out of here. That's why personally, I didn't touch 30. But NAS, like I said, I do like NAS a little bit more in terms of just seeing potentially a reaction. Like I said, overall, we have this whole area. So don't just necessarily sit here and, like I said, be bummied. To me, really here, this fill at, what is this, 14,968. That's kind of what we could see more or less. But yeah, you don't really have to take any more positions, right? If you took like maybe 1 or 2 L's, like I said, you could just kind of relax. Ideally, you should just be eating into a little bit of Goldie's profits from this week, and Nas too. We truthfully caught Nas a little banger yesterday. So in terms of this, like I said, I would just wait a little bit more, potentially to see price kind of play out. Just because it's a big area, right? It's not necessarily tight, so we could really see price develop a little bit deeper into here. So personally, I'm gonna just close NAS. I'd rather just take I'd rather take the small dub, or like break even. It's basically break even. I'd rather take the break even and wait for us to kind of pop a little bit lower than to just be in and potentially have to hold drawdown. That could have potentially been avoided, because it's not the matter of hold and drawdown. It's just the fact that if you could identify that the trade's invalid before it even like you experience drawdown, now you don't even have to like lose money in terms of like the learning curve, or like the learning process of like the overall market. So gold did not close above in terms of the hourly or 30-minute, but it was kind of close. So we could really just see price, like it's kind of ugly, so we could really see price kind of continue up higher. But overall, based off of a structure aspect, to me, we really shouldn't. But it's not to say that this 30-minute candle, like this first 30 minutes of 11 o'clock, isn't gonna like break that structure that we were looking at, right? So that's one thing that we could potentially see as well when it comes down to the indices. Perfect. So Nas punched down a little bit deeper right at the beginning, so that's why, you know, I was saying you guys could potentially close right at the open, just because in my eyes, like I said, if we're not gonna react out of here, it's like if you have a big area, like why would we sit here and not kind of like just anticipate that obviously if we have this area marked up, it could potentially fill all of this, right? So it could potentially come all the way to the bottom. So based off of just price right now, like I said, we could really see Nas potentially get that reaction now. We open straight down in terms of the algorithm, right? There's no wick on the top of this candle. So in terms of position wise, if you were to enter now, like I said, it would be the same type of TP area. We'd be looking here. First target, right? In terms of stop loss, wanted to be safe, stop below the low, but like I said, that would kind of have an ugly R&R. If you wanted to kind of just have a little bit of a conservative, you know, a safe enough stop loss where like you can breathe, but it's not big enough where it's like if you take a L, it's really gonna be, you know, too crazy, right? But overall, we really are looking for something like this at the highs to get taken. So, you know, if you're really just looking to overall target the highs as a TP, then maybe, you know, having the bigger stop loss will definitely be a little bit safer for you, just because overall, like, let's say for example you have your stop here to the high, you're looking at a 1 to 20, right? And if you just put it like to the low, which to me, like I said, would be a little bit safer, it'll be about a 1 to 10. Okay, so that's one thing to kind of sit there and pay attention to. Like I said, 30 is the uglier of the two. To me, I really think we're going to pop down and take these lows. So if we don't close below here, that'd be cool. But all of this right here, I'm looking more or less a little reaction maybe out of here to then see us. We probably then actually maybe come back up into this candle like we were anticipating. But I think we only do that to kind of bait buyers in here, in this area right above all of these equal highs, right? To then have price obviously continue lower. Right, so overall, it would be more like a buy to sell than like a longer term buy. And like I said, we would just be more or less looking for that continuation towards the downside. So now, as like I said, you could kind of look to sit here and kind of wait to see how price kind of pushes into this first 15 minutes. You could enter here right now. You know, I'll kind of update the chat as we go. But ideally, you know, you would have probably taken a few small losses on either Nas or 30, if you whichever one you took, or gold, right? So to me, like I said, gold didn't close above structure wise, so I personally did take a position in here just because, like I said, shit, I ain't no bitch, mama ain't raised no fool. No, I'm just playing. But in all seriousness, structure, like I just, you know, we closed below this low, seeing that we didn't close below this high. Yeah, you know, I really could see a little bit of a breakdown. Like I said, the wicks, I'm not really too tripping about. If it wicks above, that's cool. I just like to pay attention to the candle closes. Like I said, this would literally be like the lowest risk, highest reward potential scenario that you'd be able to get on this. You'd be able to get in with like about an 18 pip stop, right? So our first target would be literally about a 1 to 8, and that's being like super conservative with the stop. If you're really just having a tight stop and you're just having it above this immediate high, it'd be about 11 points, right? So in terms of that, nah, that's funny, right? So yeah, shit. Besides that, like I said, really, all we really wanted to see was Nas potentially push a little bit deeper into here, which it appears as though we're doing. So like I said, we could potentially see a little bit of a pop on Nasty Nas, right? But when it comes down to everything as a whole, family, yeah, shit, that's really gonna wrap it up for today. In terms of just the live trading, I probably will go live tomorrow just because I missed Wednesday. So if you guys want to make sure that you guys are tuned in tomorrow, we're gonna be live again on probably 10 a.m. Right? I think there's news tomorrow, so I might be doing might do a little news special, a little light news special, family. But in terms of that, family, I love and appreciate you guys, and I hope that you guys are able to just, like I said, learn something, take something away. Gold, like I said, short wise, we're looking for TP1 1905, so don't necessarily cry, right? If you missed it, I told you that gold I like gold more than like the other three, than 30. To me, 30, I wouldn't even be entering 30. Like if I were you guys, keep it a buck with you, because the equal lows there. Nas, I would be more open to, just because I am more bullish, obviously, on Nas. But yeah, shit, gold to me feels like will be probably the safest position. Obviously, if gold drops, then Nas and 30 will probably fly, but I'm just not going to be the one to kind of guess where we're going to fly, right? I just don't care enough about the indices, right, to like feel like I need to kind of position myself. Whereas, you know, in gold, I definitely feel a lot more confident with gold based off of the overall structure, right? Indice wise, like I said, there's a few possibilities that we could do. So it's not to say that I'm not confident. It's just there's a lot more risk involved in terms of just the potential to see price kind of react and kind of move just in the ideal manner that we want. So like I said, if you guys took any type of value away at all, make sure you guys go check out my YouTube. I uploaded like 4 or 5 YouTube videos yesterday from the boot camp, so definitely check those out. But in terms of that, family, I love and appreciate you guys. I'm gonna catch you guys on the flip. Peace.